All right, we are getting going today. It is Wednesday, BizDev Morning Brew, 7, not so much o'clock. We're starting a little late today, but that's okay. We're here. We're here to do what we need to do, and it is a perfect example of how things kind of fall into alignment as we're doing our business. Some of the things that we have scheduled to do may get pushed back, pushed ahead, switched to another day. However, we still need to get business done, right? So we're here today. I really wanted to address the difference between urgency and what's important, right? The difference in using its model called the urgency model with the National Association of Sales Professionals. And it's funny that that this is the model that I wanted to talk about today, and it shows how things can kind of get shaken up. And now we're a little late on today's call. But anyway, let's get into it. Urgency. Immediately, let's go share the screen and get into what we have is the urgency. What is this urgency model you speak of, Benny? It is what is the things that you want to focus on. And when we're doing all of our business development, we tend to find a lot of distractions, a lot of things that'll come our way. I remember when I was in a sales team group, we were in a huge, like we called it the boiler room. Those of you who have not heard the term the boiler room, I would definitely Google it. You'll probably find a couple of movies there. One specifically with Ben Affleck that is a pretty exciting one. I think Vin Diesel's also in that one. But anyway, this boiler room, this high impact, high activity sales dungeon, so to speak. It was where all the sales reps were, and the phones were ringing nonstop. You heard people yelling and screaming and hollering and whatever because the conversations were amped up because our sales manager had us speaking in high volumes and we were talking to the guys. We were making sure that they were excited, right? And then when sales would happen, bells would get rung, noises would be made, and there was a lot of pomps and circumstance around the sales room. And in there, with all that high energy, Red Bull was drank and lots of caffeine was ingested. So when you would get a moment to maybe have a clear thought, you wouldn't be able to really calm yourself down because you had consistent noise regularly around you. And if someone else was on a break, they tended to come over to your cubicle and talk your ear off. So you were always getting things brought to your attention that were important, but not necessarily urgent, or they were urgent, not important. And things were always just rushed around. You know, they didn't have a lot of importance to them, but they were falsified as important. And it really became a distraction for myself and many others in it. And then we were given the idea that you just weren't sales material. You know, you can't handle the environment. And it's not necessary for the environment to actually be this way for you to have successful sales. It took some time to learn that. And I want to express that to you now so you don't fall prey to these stereotypes. Don't fall into the box of the typical high impact, yelling, screaming, telling you everything that you don't need to hear salesman, the guy who just wants to get you to make the sale. I heard a story just recently where individual goes in to make a purchase. He has his wife with him. Wife is pregnant. She's maybe like 2 seconds from birth. And he goes in and says, look, tells the car salesman, look, I know that you have a sales pitch, but I really need you to understand where I'm coming from. Here I am with my wife. She's pregnant with our first child, and she's due any moment. I need a vehicle that fits these specific descriptions. Okay. So he gives the description that he wants no bells and whistles. I want the manual door locking. I want the manual roll down. For those of you who are not familiar with this, there used to be a crank that you would roll down the window. He didn't want any bells and whistles. He didn't want any extras. He just wanted the standard safety features that come with the vehicle, and that's it. He didn't have a budget. He had an extreme budget he could not go past, and everything else needed to go to the newborn child. Cut to this salesman who decides to take all that information and says, I hear everything you say, sir. Let's go over to this brand new blah, 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 with all the bells and whistles, the highest high-end vehicle that we have on the floor. Now, what happened there? This man comes in to talk to this sales professional, and he says to him exactly what he wants, yet the sales professional doesn't hear a word that the customer says and starts to pitch to him the things that he didn't even say he wanted. When you put yourself in that kind of a situation as a sales professional, you are headed towards two things. You're headed towards your sales prospect walking completely out on you, or you have what happened to this sales professional. My associate, my friend who told me this story, his wife immediately turned the tables on this sales representative, and he stopped him in his pitch and said, did you not hear what my husband said? We only have a budget of X, and we cannot go past this budget because of this child that is getting ready to burst out of my stomach. You are not going to take the money out of my child's mouth to suit your needs. I want to speak to your manager. Afterwards, that sales rep had to not only endure having a sales team taken away from him, but that sales manager wound up selling that couple the vehicle that they wanted at the price that they wanted it at, and in turn looked very bad to his management staff and the management and the executive management team. So, it never turns well for you if you don't just adhere to the rules. The golden rule or the platinum rule. The golden rule says you treat others as you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others as they want to be treated, right? So as a sales professional, you need to understand what your customer wants, and then you give that customer what they want. So looking at the urgency model, we want to see what is actually urgent and what is actually important. And when you're presented with a situation, you need to see whether this is a distraction, it's not urgent and not important at all. How many times have you had it where someone has come up to you and said, I need your attention to something, and then you find out at a later moment that it had absolutely nothing to do with you, it had absolutely no time restraints on it, and it was only because this person needed to take up your time. Happened to me quite often. So you need to identify your distractions and your delusions. And a distraction, of course, we just said, not urgent, not important. A delusion, urgent, but not important. So urgency, is urgency something that needs to take up your time? You really want to look at this, because when something is actually urgent, it may not necessarily have an importance to what's going on in the collective of your day. It may have an urgency that needs to be addressed, but it's not an important urgency. Something that's important is needs to be categorized in a better place than something that is just urgent. Because if it is just urgent but not important, what is it really? It's a delusion, right? It's delusion. It's something that is really just cranked up with emotion, but has no basis in what's actually happened. There's actually no realism in what's going on. So be cautious of things that are expressed to you with urgency that are not important, because they're delusional. Things that are in demand. Something that is in demand is both urgent and important. So you have the urgency, and then it also has the importance of actually having some pertinence to what's going on in your day. These are things that we may want to address. However, they may need to also be altered in figuring out more information about what's happening, because the urgency is what it can fall prey to false time restraints. So ask more questions when something's presented. It's urgent, it's got a lot of emotion, but it's also important. It needs to be addressed because the bottom line, because of this, because of the customers, this, that, and the other. but there's all this angst in it. So we need to calm the angst, calm the energy, and actually find out where the points are that need to be addressed and move it to what I love to be in: fulfillment. Fulfillment is the key place to be in as a sales professional when things are brought to you by your customer. When this customer came to his sales rep at the car dealership, letting him know that it is important for me to get a vehicle because my wife is pregnant with our first child. And it is important for you to understand that I only need these specific features, and that it will only benefit me if you hear what I'm saying. And these are the important things. And he came to him with zero urgency. And then the sales rep turns to him and denies the fulfillment aspect of it and immediately leaps into what I would like to say he was in a distraction. He had absolutely no urgency and it was not important to him. And he distracted him with this other bling bling vehicle, this high profile vehicle that had absolutely nothing to do with the customer. So avoid the idea of adding or subtracting urgency in your communication. When things are happening and we needed to categorize them and put them into perspective, we want them to be important to us without the added urgency. Urgency is a pathway to delusion and distraction, and it only adds demand on top of the importance of something when you allow the uncontrolled emotion of to take control of the process. So control is one of the biggest things that we have a complete delusion of as it is as a sales professional, because we honestly do not have much control over anything, but we can influence things. And that's where we learn a little bit more about these specifics. When you have an idea of what is urgent and what is important, you can easily discuss and have a conversation that leads things to what we like to have: fulfillment. So what do we mean by the control? I love to show this also. We have, I have another model here that I love to see. It's called the control model. And this is also all part of NASP, Truesome Vision. We can control, if you look at the center, we can control things that that we're responsible for. We are only able to control things that we are responsible for. That is directly in our control in a situation. And then you have on the outside of that, you have things that you can influence. And this is where we learn these models and we're able to discern differences between what, again, is important or urgent. And we also can figure out how we can assist those who are having an emotional outburst or having a lack of control due to emotion. And we want to be able to isolate what the actual issue is and find more solutions to calm the emotion down. And then we can back things up with logic. Remember, when someone purchases something, they are purchasing with emotion. So we're not looking to eliminate the emotion, but we want to put the emotion into a perspective that allows logic to be able to make the decision. So they have the emotional connection to whatever it is that they're purchasing, and at the same time, they make a logical decision at the end of it. That's your responsibility and the thing that you have control over. And then there's things on the outside, things that you can't control or influence, stay way on the outside of the circle. We stand in the center. We may reach out into the influence side of things, and we stay clearly away from the outside ring, and we put them at as far a distance as possible with those things that we cannot control or cannot influence. And that way we are able to completely keep clear of delusions and distractions. All right. So be cognizant and aware of those things as you move through your day-to-day. BizDev Morning Brew, this is what we're bringing to you: understanding what you can and can't control, what you can and can't influence, and making sure that you are not prey to distractions, delusions, or demands, and you're staying completely in the line of fulfillment for yourself as well as fulfillment for your customers. Hope this helped you today. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. If you would like to join the call or you have something that you would like me to address specifically that is an issue for you, you can send me a DM, send me a message, and I'll be happy to talk about it on the call. BizDev Morning Brew, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 a.m., even though we're a little late today. Sorry about that. But at the same time, we're here, you're here, and that's the most important thing. There is no urgency. It's all about fulfillment today. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next call.